Today we're going to talk about how to make two-color or two-tone dice. We're also going to talk about some pitfalls that you might run into so that I can help you avoid them and help you make even better dice than what I made. I learned a lot through doing this process and hope you learned something too. In this video, I'm not going to go over how to make your own dice molds. I've done that enough times, and unless something new happens, I'm not going to change things. So either go check out how to make the 24 karat dice, or if you want to learn how to make clear transparent dice, check out my series on that with the pressure pot and vacuum chamber. We are going to start with the same Art and Glow resin that I am used to using and am comfortable with working with. This Art and Glow resin is mixed 1-to-1 by volume, so I take two little measuring cups and I measure out the exact same amounts, and then I begin mixing it up. I eyeball it, though these have measurements, and get a pretty good estimate. I make way too much in this one, but I pour some extra out because the first set we're going to do is going to be this kind of crystal sky. It's going to be part clear and part of this glow-in-the-dark powder here. It's the same powder I used in my glow-in-the-dark dice making video, except it's blue, and I put way too much of it because I want it to sink to the bottom, and I'll kind of talk about why later, though you may not want that. You may want it to swirl, but we're going to talk about a bunch of different styles here. I've moved to the 2 pipette method so that I never have to wait for one to be filling up with resin. I can just squirt, 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 squirt constantly. This first part here is going to be clear, so I don't add anything else to it. I just fill up these molds almost completely. When I see it right near the top, I stop, and I start filling up another pipette with the glow-in-the-dark filled resin. From that, I stick it all the way down to the bottom and start squirting until it fills up a decent amount because I want this resin to sink to the bottom. I didn't want it to swirl all the way around. I wanted it to be almost like a gradient or a flat stop. I stick all the dice in the molds down into my pressure pot, which I'm going to fill up with air. I have a pressure pot so that I can get more transparent dice. You don't need this, but it's helpful, and I bought one and I went through the trouble, so I'm going to use it. I go ahead and lock the pressure pot up so that it's sturdy and good to go. Fill it up with air by connecting the air hose from my compressor to it and start letting it fill up. You can see the gauge go up here. Once it's at 30 to 40 psi, I can turn it off and call it good. Here's what the dice look like all finished. I mess up in the polishing stage later and they're a little cloudy, but I'll talk about that in a minute. We're going to move on to the second set of 4 dice that I make throughout this. I use the original gold that I made in my very first dice video and some red food coloring, that kind with the little nib that everybody has laying around the house. It actually makes great transparent dice, so I put a large amount of this pigment in here of this gold. It just pops out really well, and I've kept it for a long time because take a look at that. Man, that is some shiny gold, and I haven't found anything that really compares, so I still have a lot of that. You can use this food coloring if you use it sparingly. I'm going to put 2 drops in here, and that is good. Any more than that, without being just a little bit more, your resin won't cure because it's water-based, right? You can see that gives me a nice red, but it was a little too pink for me and I wanted it to go a little more, so I put 1 more drop, mix it up, and that was good for me. I'm trying to make a Pheonix looking dice here. Here's mistake number 1. I do a ratio here of 2 gold to 1 of the transparent. That should be the opposite, and it makes sense. If you put the opaque one on the outside, which is what I end up doing, you're not going to see the transparent one on the inside. I recommend you to double up on the transparent and only do 1 of the opaque if you're doing a 2-tone dice. I like how my set comes out. I think it looks okay. I just think it would have looked better had I used more of the transparent and less of the gold. So if you're using a transparent and a solid, do 2 to 1 transparent color to solid. We're going to go ahead and put that up in the pressure pot, let it cook overnight and call it good, and move on to set 3 of 4. In set 3 of 4, I actually do 2 solid colors, this sort of green glitter and black glitter. Now I'm going to show you this green one here because it looks like a straight up crushed up leprechaun or shamrock. It is amazing. It's super bright, super vibrant. I'm definitely going to use it in colors in the future, but mistake number 2 here is that this black is amazing. It's got a bunch of different colors. It looks like a galaxy, but it's also got green glitter in it, and that is going to wash some of these colors together. So the technique that I use here is a 1-to-1 ratio of both of these colors, and that technique is fine. I mix up the green one with resin same way that we did before. I mix up the black one with resin same way we did before, and when I pipe these in, I pipe them at a 1-to-1 ratio. I do a little bit of black, take it out, put a little bit of green, take it out, put a little black, and just kind of swirl it in there. But again, because the black has green glitter in it, it's it's really hard to tell where the black stops and the green starts. So I actually make a fourth set of dice that I don't film here, where I use the black and the gold powder combo in the same ratio and style that I use the black and green. And now we have our 4 sets of dice. I'm going to talk about the pros and the cons to each one of these, and why you should do one style and why you shouldn't do one style, depending on what you're after. I think they're all great, but they all have different merits and different uses. So let's look at each set and start with the first set. And I told you there was a problem with that, but that purely came from the gloss that I used to coat these. It turned it into this kind of coarse glass look, which isn't what I was going for. I do like the look of it. It's got the glow on the bottom and the clear glass on top. It kind of makes it look like 2 sea floors have melded together. Overall, I'm very happy with it. I haven't inked in these numbers, but we're going to save looking at this for the glow in the dark in just a minute and look at set number 2, which is what I'm calling my Pheonix dice because of the gold and the red. This D4 here is the best one of the set. It's got that yellow going into a nice orange. It looks like a raging flame, though backwards in color, and I really like it. But you can see, here's what happens with the others. Because the opaque coated the sides, you can't see the inside that has that transparency. If you would have changed around that ratio from 2:1 gold to red to gold, you would have had a much better result in your dice. Same thing goes for this one. You can see here, this is one set that I haven't actually finished. I left the nubs on, but you get the gist of what these would look like. The black and the green are great, but because of those little green dots, it's really hard to see where black stops and green ends. I really like this set. I call it my Emerald Nightmare set. It reminds me of something from World of Warcraft, and it's great. It's very Eldritch-y for warlocks, but it's not ideal because the colors don't pop and they don't contrast, which is why I created the next set, which is black and gold, and bam! This looks fantastic. This is exactly what a 2-tone set generally should look like, because one set color pops 100% out from the other one. Where the black and green were muddled, this gold really stands out against the black. I'm calling this my Dragon's Egg or Dragon's Horde set because the gold looks like gold and the black is this kind of scorched cave earth, and even the little colors that are the red, the blue, and the green look like rubies, emeralds, and sapphires, and sometimes they bleach into the gold and look like a dragon's horde. The D20 looks great. There is a clear line separating the colors. If I wanted to swirl them, all I would have had to have done is take a toothpick and run it through the inside. It works better with transparent colors like the Pheonix set, where it's more transparent because you can really see the swirls, but this works for me, and this is by far my favorite set. But of course I'm going to like the one that's got gold in it. That's just me. So let me know in the comments below which one is your favorite. My absolute favorite dice from this whole experiment is this D6 here, and I love the 3 side on it. I think it just looks so cool. Now, let's talk about the glow set and see if this is worth making. So I'm going to take a Blacklight, and you can see it doesn't light up any of the other ones, but it does light up the glow one, and I'm showing it to you here in real time so you can see the Blacklight is not on there for very long, and bam, look how glowy that is. It's the same glow as the other one. It looks fantastic, and it lasts for a decent long time, and because it's clear and transparent resin, doesn't matter what side you hit it on, it's gonna glow. And because the transparency is there, you can see that it just travels all the way through the dice, and actually the coarseness of the edge makes it kind of reflect on the edge of it and look more like a crystal or a sea glass. I really like it. It rolls fantastic if you play in a Blacklight. All of them roll fantastic and look great. I can't wait to ink them and get my full sets going out of them. Thank you so much for watching. Shout out to all the people who asked for a 2-tone set below. Hopefully I delivered with what you were asking for. Let me know some other ideas of dice and other builds you might want to see in the comments down below. I am keeping a list for things to try and make in the future. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you want to see some more, or share with other people who want to learn how to make their own dice. And hopefully you learned something from this. And I know I definitely learned a lot. So thank you for watching. I truly appreciate it. And I hope that you have a great day.